Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And guess what I just did? I just got off a call with a bunch of very nice people because I am taking a little mini Bible study. And it is being hosted by a woman who suffers from Lyme's disease. And so the Bible study is about, is for people with living with chronic pain. I mean, anybody can be there, but it's really aimed towards people who suffer from chronic pain. So it's called Comfort in Dark Days. And if anybody's interested, let me know and I will give you the information. But I'm really loving it because it's just another very small group of people that I can talk to and about a different area of my life, and an area that I'm terribly unfamiliar with. But they are okay with that I don't know any Bible scriptures or anything, but they still let me sit and talk about what I believe and what my relationship is with my concept of God. And I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. And today I actually cried. And remember yesterday I was talking about how my psychiatrist and I were talking about I got to get myself to start crying. Well, I shared with this small group of people, and it was very cathartic. I actually am sharing with them not just about my chronic pain and, my stroke and stuff, but I also have been very open about how I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I just can't tell you, they've been really nice, and I've really enjoyed it. So if you're interested in something like that, it's right now she's having 3 live sessions, but there's also a little mini Bible study that's where I started. I'm taking these little, and it's videos and a little workbook, and I'm a sucker for a workbook. So anyway, that's what I'm doing on the side, just another little thing. I've got to be up to something. And after I give you your writing prompt, I'm going to tell you the other thing that I'm up to. Okay, so for this month's listener challenge, the Serenity Prayer Daily Reflection, your writing prompt today is, what does serenity feel like to you, and when did you last experience it? Yeah. Why am I hesitating? Because I'm I didn't even know what serenity was until I got sober. So depending on who's listening, it's my definition of what serenity was has changed so much over the years of my life, for sure. So I wish that I could have everybody send me their answers, but that's not what this is about. So there you have it. That's the writing prompt for today. Okay, so I've decided, here's the other thing I'm into. After I had my psychiatrist appointment and I shared with you all what's going on and all of this stuff, I decided I'm going to start my own little music therapy. And each day I'm going to pick a song and listen to it. Really listen to it and try to I might not just pick a song out of nowhere. I'll probably turn on my Apple Music. I think that the kids aren't listening to Apple Music anymore, but I am. So I think they listen to I can't think of it right now. Some app. Anyway, I'm I'll probably listen to some of my songs on Apple Music and just wait for emotion to start bubbling up. And then whatever song that is, it's like spinning the dial. Whatever song it lands on that makes me start feeling emotions, that's the song I'm going to focus on for the podcast that day. So fun. Isn't that fun? It's probably going to be emotional for me, but that's the point. I want to talk about what the song makes me feel and how it relates to my life, that at where I am right now in my life, and applying it to recovery. So music for me opens up this other avenue of communication that like hits me very, very deeply. And after talking and agreeing with the psychiatrist about needing to feel more or process my emotions, I should say, I just know that the one thing that gets me processing, gets me crying, is music. My relationship with music has changed quite a bit over the years, since I got sober, but even more since January of 2022, when I lost a friend to the disease of alcoholism. Because this friend, I knew him for so long and stayed in touch with him all throughout every phase of my life, that every decade of music reminds me of him. There's certain songs that remind me of him. And so it not only elicits memories of that, which get me feeling sad, sometimes, but not much, I'll laugh, but most of it's sadness. So it not only does that, but it reminds me of so many of my drinking days, bad decisions, embarrassing moments, painful relationships. And it surfaces like every phase and every level of love that I've ever felt in my life. I remember when I was in middle school. I remember this clearly. I remember being in middle school and being totally in love, with this guy. I even remember his name still. I'm not going to say it because I don't say names on the podcast, but I was totally in love. And there were songs specifically that reminded me of him, because I sat around in my bedroom, probably drawing hearts or writing down, pushing play and writing down the song lyrics until I couldn't write as fast as the tape was playing. So I'd hit pause or stop and keep writing the rest of the lyrics. And then when I could catch up, I'd hit play again on the tape. You guys know what I'm talking about, my generation. But everything I did in my life was so focused. Like music was like the background of everything that I did in my life. I can attach a song to almost everything that has happened in my life. From my ex-husband, and I'm talking about good memories with my ex-husband. Like I can play a song and remember exactly what it felt like. What that happiness felt like at that age in my life, what I was feeling, where I was at, how hopeful I was, how uncertain the future was, but that was an exciting thing. And I remember being in college and partying, in a fraternity chapter room, And I remember just bumping into people, and I remember the songs that are playing and what it felt like and how carefree I was. Like every single thing I've done in my life feels like it has this background music. And when I got sober, I kind of stopped listening to music. I cut off the background music, and my life has been more silent. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it has given me time to reflect. And I needed a lot of time to reflect. I still do. But when my friend died in January of 2022, I realized that the music what had changed from being something that I stopped listening to in order to be introspective. It became something that I was avoiding in order to avoid pain. And I've told you the story of going for a run and running all of that pain out of me, and all the crying out of me until I could start listening to music again. So I'm there, I'm listening to music again. Some, not a lot, but I am listening to music. It's a big achievement for me that I'm listening to music again. But I'm not listening to it constantly like I used to. Um, and it's probably a little bit because I'm listening to so many other things now. I'm listening to lots of audiobooks and, learning voiceover, and there's only so much I can ingest. But I think it's important. Music is important to allow me to kind of let my mind be creative and fly. It's almost like when I hear music, I feel like it lets my mind soar. It lets my heart soar. It lets me float above everything else and just be whatever I want to be, wherever I want to be. I can just travel there by listening to music. That's what it does for me. And sometimes when I listen to a song that used to make me feel like I was soaring, sometimes now it makes me feel heavy. It makes me want to cry. It makes me feel more like turning it off because it doesn't make me soar anymore. It just hurts. And because of that, I know that I'm unwell and I want to get better. And, so here we go. The song that I chose today is called Bent by Matchbox 20. And this is one of my favorite songs. It's a song that reminds me of when I was married and I was going through a lot of stuff on the inside. And I wasn't sharing that with anybody. And so this song is painful to me. This song makes me feel alone and it hurts. It makes me feel like I don't have anybody to talk to. And it makes me feel like I'm broken. So I was listening to the song today. I played it a couple times for myself. And I wrote down, what does this song make me feel like now in this part in my life? And in this part of my life, I feel very confident. Like I don't feel alone anymore. Um, Due to a lot of things, I just don't feel alone anymore. I feel like I have a higher power presence that I got to know through my sobriety program. And my higher power presence is made up of my concept of God, in addition to all these other things outside of myself, including people who have passed, that I just hold around me like a blanket. And it makes me not feel alone anymore. So I don't ever feel alone anymore. But what does it still make me feel like? Because it still makes me feel sad. It still makes me feel sorry for myself, you know. So this is what I wrote down. This is how the song Bent by Matchbox 20 applies to me today. So I wrote down, I have fallen and I keep picking myself up. I'm getting tired. I wait around and I will smile again. I'm scared I'll never get put back together. Life seems to go on without me. I need a lot now. Can you help me? Stop bending me. I'm going to break. This shouldn't be so complicated. I put myself back together and I thought that's how it would end. I'm so scared I'll never get put back together again. Is this how it will end? Bent. So that's what I wrote down. That's what it was making me feel like. And it feels good to write that down. I do have a lump in my throat, which is good. That's what we want. We want the feels to come. So I wrote a little more after I listened to this song. And so I want to talk about that. This is more of my script for the episode, really. So I wrote about how there's a distinct difference between releasing the past and embracing the present. This was a concept that was talked about in my morning meeting this morning. So far in sobriety, I've learned that in order to move forward and live a fulfilling and joyful life, I need to release my painful past. And I truly believe that in order to become spiritually aware, which is different than this whole God concept for me, in order to become spiritually aware, I had to empty out my dark place. And that took a lot of time. And that was me going through the steps and letting go and making my amends and all of these things that were just crucial for me to be able to move on and feel lighter. So, how do we release something that we can't physically hold? And I've talked about my God box and the role that that has played in my life, how it is a physical representation of what I was emotionally doing, emotionally letting something go. I would physically write the thing down on a piece of paper and put it inside a box so I didn't have to see it anymore. It was gone. It was out of me. And I don't have control of it, right? So why am I holding on to it? So I stick it in the box. I had to physically see it to believe that it was being moved from inside of me to somewhere else. So this is interesting. Today I was thinking about the good stuff from my past, meaning how difficult it is to release the positive stuff from my past. So I want to talk about the letting go of the good stuff in order to embrace the present. So, like I started out with, that releasing the past is different than embracing the present. Like, I've always thought in sobriety about how these steps are allowing me to release the painful past. We do not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. It's always about pain. Well, what about how I keep trying to hold on to the good stuff and I'm not moving forward? Like, I keep wanting to bring all of that with me. And it's not allowing me to embrace the present. So it's a bit of a different feeling for me. It's, we cling to the familiarity of the previous version of ourselves, whether it's good or bad. It takes an enormous amount of courage to step away from the familiarity of our past selves, into uncertainty. And it's scary and it's sad. And staying where we're comfortable, even if it's not good or it's stressful, is where we want to be. Like, I'm comfortable. I can be more comfortable in a very stressful situation than I am stepping out of that situation. I think the best example would be, you've got a job, you hate the job. You hate the job, you hate the people. It's stressful, nobody knows what the hell they're doing, that kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's easier to stay where it's comfortable, even though it's not good for us, instead of stepping forward into something that's uncertain, something that we don't know whether it's going to be good for us or not. It's scary. And sometimes when we do move forward out of something that was negative, and then we look back at the thing that was negative, it all of a sudden doesn't seem so negative anymore, does it? Whatever happens in my present changes my perspective on my past. And what I found online is that in psychological terms, this is called rosy retrospection. I've never heard that before. Rosy retrospection. When we look back to what is familiar and comfortable, even if it wasn't truly as perfect as we remember or as good as we remember. What I call it is romanticizing. And in the first several years of sobriety, I would romanticize the drink a lot. I would think about how fantastic it was to be able to come home from work and drink and have my wine. What I wouldn't think about is how I couldn't stop, and how I may have enjoyed that first glass, but by the 7th glass at 2:00 in the morning and I'm crawling up the stairs, that wasn't so great. But that's romanticizing, and it happens all the time. I am helpless. And that's what this song reminds me of. That I'm helpless. And life is happening around me, and I'm just trying to keep up. And this version of me right now can't keep up. I can't keep up with the speed of life right now. I can't. It's part of my disability. I can't think as fast. I literally can't move as fast because it makes me sick. So, Rachel version 2.0, the one that got sober and the one that pre-stroke, seemed to be the version of me that could keep up with life. And I feel like that version of me was moving faster than life. I was pushing so far beyond the speed of life that I was making things happen. I was creating new things. I was becoming the best that I was capable of being as that version of myself. And I worked so hard to go from Rachel version 1.0 to the best that I could be as Rachel 2.0. From the depths of my alcoholism to the very peak of where I was trying to climb. And I wanted so badly to see that through, to see my absolute fullest capabilities as Rachel version 2.0. You know, I wanted to do that. I wanted to see how great I could get. And, you know, what I was just thinking of just this very moment, which is kind of funny or weird, I don't know. You be the judge of it. I was thinking of, oh no, I'm not going to, no, not MacGyver. Oh no, I can't think of the name of it. I'm going to have to look it up and then cut out some of the recording. So, 1 second. Okay, we're back. The show is called Quantum Leap. And I was thinking about how each version of, if you've ever seen this show, Quantum Leap, this guy bounces from body to body and he becomes a different person, solves some big problem in that person's life, and then he moves through time and then he becomes another person and enters another person's body and solves some big problem in their life. That's kind of what I feel like. I feel like I was pulled out of Rachel version 2.0 right before she was great, you know, and now I'm in somebody else's new body and I've got to figure out how to solve the problems for this one. That's what it feels like. So, okay. And anyway, I was thinking also, as I wrap this up, that as it relates to this song, Bent, by Matchbox 20, you know, maybe I just wasn't going to reach the fullest capacity of Rachel. Like, I talk about Rachel version 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. You know, maybe Rachel version 2.0 wasn't the greatest that I can be. And so the big guy upstairs decided that he needed to bend me a little bit more. And maybe the more he bends me, the more whole I will become. So that is my poetic analysis of this song and how it relates to me and what I'm feeling today. Thank you for joining me on the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm excited to do some song analysis and get the feels bubbling up. So I will talk to you tomorrow.